I was about to have a full-fledged crash out. What has been sitting heavy in my mind and body. So I just feel like, you know, when you want something, you got to discipline yourself. All right, we are getting ready for stretch club this morning. I have a class to do, a live stream at 8:15. So just got dressed, just about to get my cameras and everything set up, looking at my imaginary watch because it's not even on my wrist, it's on the charger. I just got dressed. Phones are charged. Camera is over there. I need to set up the camera, and I just realized that my yoga mat is in the car. So gotta run out to the car and go grab my yoga mat, and then I try to sit down for at least 5 to 10 minutes on my own before I start the live stream. So we're gonna do that now. Happy Sunday, everybody. All right, got my yoga mat. I just used this little corner of the room to do the filming in. I just miss having so much space, you guys. Like, I used to have an entire room, but now I just have this little corner of the room, and then the mirror's right there, and I don't like that very much either. So I'm gonna lay out my yoga mat and get situated. Through the nose, holding, and exhaling. What has been sitting heavy in my mind and body lately? And I encourage you to think about the first thing that comes up for you. Even when I say that, what is sitting heavy? What is weighing on you? What are some of the first things that come up for you? And for those of you guys that are on the Zoom, if you want to, I see some chat going up on the side. If you want to put it into the chat, you can also do that. You can use the chat. Over here on TikTok, if you guys want to put in the chat, you can do that too. Let me know what has been sitting heavy in your mind or body lately. All right, all done with stretch club. That was fun. There was 3 people in the Zoom stretch club, and then I don't know how many people joined on the TikTok live, but I finished that, and then I don't edit those videos at all. The full live stream just goes right on to Patreon. So I loaded that in, made my post. So that's all done for today. Now, honestly, I really don't have anything on the agenda, so I'm going to change my clothes and then figure out what we're gonna do today. All right, y'all, so let's talk for just a minute here. I feel like all this week, the name of the game has sort of been discipline. Discipline has been a word that not only is something that like just resonates with me in general, but I've been hearing a lot of people talking about this idea of discipline this week. One of the YouTubers that I really like to watch was talking about, you know, stepping into your era, and it's about discipline. And I agree with that. I think that we think that things should rest on motivation. And I think that, you know, we know well enough by now that like motivation is not a carrier for anything that you want to do. Like, we are motivated to do something, you get excited to do something, but quickly, very quickly, that motivation wears off. And discipline really is the name of the game. And one thing that I really, really liked that this YouTuber said was just that, like, discipline is what carries us from where we are to who we're trying to be, right? And so having a morning routine, right? Having an established workout or wellness routine, having a content schedule or work schedule or eating regimen, right? All these different things, because it's easy to just want to do something, but it's a whole nother thing to really put forth the effort. It's discipline that gets you from point A to point B, right? And so I notice I post on my Instagram a lot of my Apple Watch. It's been maybe almost a year. I started walking last year in August for Walk for Love, which was a fundraiser that this nonprofit organization for widows was putting on, Widowhood Real Talk with Tina. And Walk for Love was just about getting out and moving your body and sponsoring these steps for widows. And that really started to make me feel good. I realized that I enjoyed taking the walks. I realized that not only was walking like a way to clear my mind and a way to, you know, just like bring a little sense of peace. And on top of that, to get me out the damn house, you know, like just to take that time for myself. But I really started to enjoy taking those walks. But then the winter settled in. Now, I ended up buying one of those walking pads that was trending on TikTok. I bought it off Amazon and I used it quite a few times, but I very quickly realized that I didn't prefer the walking pad. Like, I literally prefer to just go outside, be in the fresh air. I like to see, you know, my neighbors and people in the community and say good morning and hello and all the things. But I realized that, like, sometimes weather doesn't permit. Sometimes life circumstances don't permit. Sometimes, you know, you miss that window of the day and then it throws the whole thing off. And so what I realized though, and then some days you just really don't fucking want to go. Like, there's sometimes when I'm just like, I ain't gonna walk today. But then, like, I very quickly have to check myself and be like, you know what, you are gonna walk today. Because of the benefits that walking brings to me, there's no reason why I'm not gonna do the walk today. Like, not wanting to do it just for the hell of it is no longer like that's not an excuse, right? So I just feel like, you know, when you want something, you gotta discipline yourself. And I'm talking to myself here because I am really trying to establish down some goals. You know, 2.5 years ago, if you have never seen one of my videos before, my husband died and our relationship was changing. My home has changed. Everything about my life took this great big hit, and trying to rebuild and trying to reestablish and trying to move forward alone and just carrying so much of everything, it's not always easy. And honestly, loss has a way of really sort of like knocking you off kilter, in the sense of, you know, you can lose your sense of direction completely. For a while, I feel like I did, you know, everything about this life that I envisioned, or this life that I dreamed, or this life that I thought that I was gonna have, it stopped. And it didn't stop gradually over time. It stopped abruptly. It stopped immediately. And all of that takes time. And so I've had to learn, yes, how to give myself some grace. Because after a significant loss, I think that is important, not to think that everything is supposed to just go back right away. But I also find that I've had like a lot of impatience around that, because, you know, I'm ready for things to sort of be back to normal. But you have to be ready for things to start to come back into place. You know, there comes a point where you will get a vision again, you know, you will want to change again, you will want to start to grow again. And I feel like at 2.5, almost 3 years into being widowed, I am at that point where I am definitely starting to feel like, okay, let me take another inventory at life. What is going on? What are some things that I actually want? Like, what are these desires that I have now? And how can I establish myself to go after them and to reach them and to get them? So discipline is definitely the key. Having an established routine, writing it all down, and sticking to it. That's so funny.
Can I watch this finale?
Our Walmart has gotten like a facelift, and they're trying to like make it all like cutesy, I guess. Like, these little signs up here are all new. All right, I got some of these gas station nachos, y'all. I don't even be playing with it, because the gas station nachos really be popping. Even though the ones at AM PM, they have like salsa and like onions and all kind of stuff you can put on them. This gas station is kind of whack. They just had jalapenos, but I'm starving and I'm ready to tear these things up. All right, back at home. The only thing left to do today that I have to get done is start a couple loads of laundry and make dinner. And I think I'm just gonna do like shrimp fettuccine. I got some heavy whipping cream, and so I usually just like to season that up and make it into like a pasta sauce. I don't really call it Alfredo, but it's a creamy pasta sauce. I think we'll do probably Cajun like I always do whenever I make shrimp, and then that will be what we have going on for dinner. We are finishing the season finale of Love Island tonight. Is anybody else watching Love Island? I think I told you guys in the last video that it's not a show that I was originally watching. I'm definitely like on the bandwagon. I've never seen any other season of the show, but the girls were watching it, and so we ended up putting it on and starting it from episode 1 of this season that they're on right now. And yeah, I'm a little invested. I'm kind of hooked in, and I don't know, I think at this point tonight I am team Nicolandria, so we'll see what happens with that. But so that's pretty much it. It's just gonna be a chill day. You can't, and I'm recording and you're knocking and you're interrupting. I'm so upset. Like I'm so annoyed today. I'm so annoyed. And it's something so small, like a spill on the carpet, but it's like when you're saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, and then something happens because what you've been saying over and over and over again doesn't get done. It's like, I don't know. I'm about to lose my mind. Like, I don't know what else to do about it. Like, I'm over it. I'm over it. But we're not having a mom crash out today. So anyways, we were talking about discipline earlier in the car, and I was sharing with you guys how a part of my practice of discipline is walking, and walking is something that I do 6 days a week, sometimes 7, but really, like, without a doubt, no excuses, 6 days a week I'm doing my best to make sure that I am out there walking, whether it is in the morning or whether it is in the evening. And that's been really good for obviously just, you know, keeping my wellness aspect in check, right? Like things like keeping your heart rate going, and, you know, working out your heart and exercising my legs and my body and making sure that I'm moving if I'm not going to do any other gym workouts or like weightlifting or Pilates or anything like that, that I'm moving by walking. But what I wanted to do, and if you want to join me, you can, but I think that it's important to maybe take a look at the list. Like we were talking about having a list, like knowing what your goals are, knowing what it is that you want to achieve, knowing where you're headed, right? I think that's one of the most important things that I've had to sort of like really step back and pay attention to in this season of life, is just that you have to have the roadmap. If you don't have a roadmap, like where are you going, right? And so just doing things on the fly or just, you know, moving through, that's why it's really easy to set up this morning routine or this nighttime routine, and then, you know, a week or two into it, you're already falling out of it. And Lord knows, and across this channel especially, like we have gone through so many different routines in general. And it really is just about establishing the discipline to do it, but also making sure that you have that end goal in mind. So I think that what I'm gonna do is start taking a look at the list that I have made, at the things that I do want to accomplish. And these are short-term things and then long-term things. But in looking at some of the shorter term things, like let's say over the next 6 months, right, as we end out the year, what are some major goals or major milestones or things that you want to achieve? And not everybody wants to call it goals or setting intentions and things like that, and that's fine, because the lingo doesn't really matter. I think that more than anything, this is about just having a clear path to what you want to accomplish. Y'all know I'm a huge fan of vision boards and of putting like those things that you desire like right in front of you and keeping them at the forefront of your mind, because what you are constantly consuming and thinking about, so you are becoming. But also like taking the actions toward them, right? So I know that there are several things that I have on my sort of to-do list for life, if you will, rather than maybe saying goals. And taking one discipline maybe each week or every 2 weeks or even once a month, because once a week might be a little bit difficult. Like, you don't establish a habit and a routine, especially not a disciplined routine, in 1 week, y'all. It really takes work. But maybe once a month, even just implementing a new discipline and then doing your best to stick to that one thing. And we stick to the thing until it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes who we are. So I think for me, what I would like to do as we move into the month of August is incorporate more greens into my diet. So that's really simple, but it's also a really big deal. Now, I already eat a pescatarian style diet, so it isn't that I, don't eat vegetables or anything like that. I do. But I think that incorporating more salads and more living foods and more like green leafy vegetables and things can be really beneficial, obviously. And so incorporating that maybe into breakfast and dinner, or lunch and dinner, or maybe that looks like having, one meal a day be nothing but a salad that's loaded up with stuff, which is actually really good for the summer, because summertime is when you want to eat lighter anyways, when you want to incorporate more fruits and vegetables like into your diet. So that's what I'm going to start doing, and I will prepare myself for that so that we're not just jumping into the water cold turkey without any sort of preparation. I think I find that when we try to start things without any leeway or preparation into them, it also can be almost a hindrance, because that cold turkey, it works for some people, but I think for some people, especially when it comes to things like diets and stuff like that, it's probably best to maybe segue your way into something like that. So that's going to be my discipline for August, and simply just incorporating more greens.
Yeah. I know why I get it, why you need me. I know what you like. I feel it for me. Tell me that the yes. I try to keep you, and I need some lessons. I need to get better. I try to live, but I can't. I don't know why I got the wall.
Ain't no way.
Excited got to enjoy the full experience, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. Me, man, it's more about the journey, not the destination. And I feel like
Thank you.
no, because last season was.
All right, we are headed to the gym. I need to walk and it's dark, so I typically will come to the gym to walk if it's dark at night, and then I'm trying to get up early tomorrow, starting a new discipline. cold in here. So they got these new stair machines, but I'm not gonna get on the stairs today. I'm gonna go ahead and get on the treadmill. It is like literally freezing in here. Always get this one in the corner so that I can like see the pool outside. Alright, y'all, that's gonna be the end of this little vloggy vlog. I made dinner. I ended up just making pasta. Like I said, I did spinach and shrimp and like veggies and heavy whipping cream to make a sauce, and it was pretty good. We finished watching the season finale of Love Island. Totally, you know, I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed. I mean, it is what it is on who won, but it wasn't who I was going for, so that is what it is. Just to my mom crash out earlier in this video, you guys, sometimes I feel like with children, my children, I'm not going to talk about your children, I'll just talk about my children specifically. You know, I think sometimes as parents we say things, you know, and there's some kids that get it and they follow suit, and I feel like my kids, it's like sometimes it's like I have to beat the bush. Like I say the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I just feel like in this sense, you know, like I got really frustrated because we've been YouTubing here in this space since Penelope was born, as we already established in the last video, the birthday vlog. It's been 9 years. And I just feel like at this point, they know that if my door is closed, I'm probably recording or filming something, and it comes a dime a dozen that I'm able to actually sit in front of the camera like this and talk and speak and say things where there's nothing happening in the background. You know, there's always a TV on, there's always someone talking, the kids are always playing. It's like the sound around me is always really loud. I probably definitely need to invest in a new like portable mic or something that sort of drowns out the sound around you. You know, recently I filmed from my phone because it's just easier for me to do the editing from my phone. And these phones, like the internal mic, it picks up everything in the background. So I just feel like sometimes, especially when I'm doing classes and stuff, I usually will tape a note to the door that's like, I'm recording, you know, quietly walk away from the door. But for the most part, my door is usually cracked or always open. So they should know by now that if mom's door is closed, maybe it's best to not interrupt her. Yet and still, I'll close that door and it's like they sense out immediately when I'm getting ready to record, and here they come. And sometimes, you know, I might have a thought or something that I want to say or something that kind of like pops in, and maybe I don't have time to always like write it down and pinpoint it or come back to it later, especially if the only real genuine quiet time in the house is either in the morning or at night after everybody's gone to sleep. Like I've lost the ability to be able to really sit and capture some of the things that I want to say. So it's like when I get interrupted like that, it interrupts my train of thought, it throws me off, it shifts the vibe, and it's like, it's a really big deal. So yeah, I was about to have a full-fledged crash out because that was probably the third time within the day that had happened. So anyways, but I understand that it happens, you know, they're kids, but I'm like, we got to get better about this, y'all, because it would be one thing if they didn't know, or, you know, if it was just like, oh, you know, I'm just losing my mind because a one-off incident. But y'all, this is like all the time. Like this happens every time I try to sit down in front of like this. Anyways, we are working on our disciplines. Let me know in the comments below if there is something that you want to establish a routine around or increase your discipline behind. And let's get on it. Thank you guys for joining me and for hanging out with me over this vlog. I will catch you guys in the next one.